Let's be honest. If you're here, you're not here by accident. You didn't just click a video. You didn't just have time. Because if it were only that, you wouldn't feel this strange stillness in your chest right now, like something inside you is listening. The universe has been trying to talk to you for a while. Soft hints, repeated numbers on a clock, random lines in songs that land a little too perfectly. A phrase you overhear in public that sounds like it was written for you, and you keep brushing it off. You keep walking past it. You keep telling yourself, coincidence. So the universe got tired of whispering. This time, it put something on your doorstep. A key. Not just an object, an artifact. A personal message from the heavenly office. The kind you can't swipe away, can't mark as spam, can't pretend you never received. You open the door to your usual Groundhog Day, your plans neatly scheduled in Google Calendar. And there it is, shining, almost mocking you, as if to say, you can plan your day, but you don't control the door you're about to walk through. And no, this isn't a cute guessing game. This is a psychological test, a diagnostic tool, a scalpel, not to hurt you, but to open up the places in your soul you keep covering with the makeup of positive thinking. We're not doing circles. We're not chanting mantras. We're going to dissect your reality, calmly, clearly, to see what mechanism inside it has jammed. But before we start breaking into the locks of fate, I need one quick answer, so I know who's here with me. What usually guides you through life more? Cold, sober calculation, or that unexplainable inner sense, that quiet intuition that whispers from inside you? There's no right answer. Just write one word in the comments. Calculation or intuition. Let's see who we have more of today. Strategists, or those guided by the unseen. Now, to the keys. In front of you are 4 keys. Don't think, just look. Let your unconscious, that ancient, wise being inside you, choose. Which key feels like yours? And if your eyes stopped on the key carved from pure, eternal ice, then listen closely. Because this is an interesting choice. While others reach for warmth and light, you were drawn to cold, crystal clarity. Don't rush to label yourself heartless, cold, the Snow Queen, or some emotionally detached person. It's deeper than that. And, dare I say, both more tragic and more majestic. Your choice says something very specific. Right now, your soul is not asking for passion, not asking for forward motion. It's asking for a deep cleaning in the mausoleum of your past. Because fate didn't hand you a key to the future. It handed you a key to a door you locked a long time ago, with a heavy barn lock and a sign you wrote yourself, "Do not enter. Dangerous for the psyche. This door leads to your past." And before we go any further, pay the guide's fee in the local currency, a like, and a subscription. Because what you're about to hear is worth hundreds of hours with a therapist who might circle the truth for months, afraid to hurt you. We're not afraid, because ice isn't afraid of cold. Ice is frozen water, frozen emotion, frozen time. Somewhere deep in your inner archives, there is a frozen moment, a situation preserved perfectly, an old resentment that still feels like a shard of glass under your skin, a betrayal you forgave with words, but your body still remembers, unspoken words rotting quietly inside, poisoning the present. Or worse, a stubborn, ancient guilt you keep feeding with your life force, like a greedy emotional Tamagotchi that never stops demanding more. You've been told, time heals, But that's a lie. Time doesn't heal. Time preserves. And ice is the perfect preservative. In permafrost, people find mammoths perfectly intact. So let me ask you something. What if right now, in the permafrost of your soul, there's a perfectly preserved version of you? Wounded, misunderstood, still waiting. And what if that version is quietly steering your life today, making you step on the same emotional rake again, and again, and again? This ice key is a symbol of ultimate clarity. You can't lie to yourself anymore. You can't keep saying, "It's over. I'm above it. It doesn't matter." Your unconscious is exhausted by that lie. It wants you to look with the cold precision of a surgeon, without drama, without sentimentality. At the moment, you froze. Not to drown in it again, but to finally understand its mechanics. Because ice is transparent. And now, you have to become transparent to yourself. And as Carl Jung, the old master of the soul's catacombs, reminded us, what you resist persists. You resisted this pain for years. You pushed it down. You tried to process it with affirmations, but it only condensed. It became a thicker and thicker block of ice, the one you keep tripping over in your present life. So the question becomes, are you ready to touch that cold truth? Not with fire, not with rage, not with emotional explosions that only create steam and blind you, but with the warmth of neutral attention, just sitting in front of it and seeing it. No judgment, no hatred for the person who hurt you, no pity for yourself, just awareness. And yes, it may feel brutally uncomfortable, like pressing your bare hands against a frozen slab, cold, aching, bone deep. But only this way can you release the living water trapped inside. The water of acceptance, forgiveness, and eventually, wisdom. This key is both a gift and a test. And if you chose it, then something inside you is ready to stop performing strength and start becoming real strength. Because on the other side of this door is silence. The loud, sacred silence of a healed soul. So, you chose the ice key. That means you're not here to be entertained. You're here because something inside you is tired of surviving the same chapter and ready to finally read the hidden paragraph you've been skipping. Here is the gift of the ice key. When you do this work, when you truly look at what froze inside you, you gain a kind of clarity most people never touch. Not good vibes, not false optimism. A clean, sharp, quiet wisdom. The kind that makes you almost impossible to manipulate. Because you start seeing the machinery behind people's words. You see patterns, you see motives, you see what's really happening beneath the surface. And something else happens too. You stop fearing the future because you stop being haunted by the past. You develop what I can only call the calm of a warrior who has returned from war. Someone who has seen both darkness and light and doesn't flinch at either. You become emotionally unbuyable, not because you're cold, but because you're honest. That's the gift. But now, the trap. The ice key's biggest danger is this. You get stuck in the past like it's an endless courtroom. You become your own permanent patient. You analyze and analyze and analyze. And slowly, without realizing it, you start living in the autopsy instead of living your life. You mistake insight for healing. And healing isn't just understanding what happened. Healing is understanding and then leaving the room. Because there's a darker temptation: to freeze into regret, to make your heart not a calm lake, but a chunk of ice, to become a collector of wounds, and that is not your path. Your task is not to worship your pain. Your task is to audit it, to pull the lesson out, to name what it cost you, to recognize what it taught you. And yes, this part might sting, to thank it. Not because it was good, but because it made you deeper, because it carved out a space in you where wisdom can live. Jung would call this the work of the shadow. He didn't teach that the shadow is evil that should be cut out. He taught that the shadow is a stubborn companion. And if you want freedom, you don't destroy it. You transform it. Your frozen pain is your shadow, and inside it is your gold, your strength, your discernment, your depth. When you integrate it, when you melt it with neutral attention, your past stops being your prosecutor and becomes your quiet advisor. Still, wise, not dramatic. And here's the truth: turning this key will be cold. But beyond that door is the kind of silence that feels like you can finally breathe again. A healed soul doesn't always feel happy. It often feels quiet, steady, unshakable. We've walked through the cold. We've opened the tomb of the past. And I hope you feel the difference now. You don't go in there to cry forever. You go in there to clean, to reclaim what's yours, to leave with the lesson, and lock the door behind you with dignity. Now, what if the problem isn't only the ghosts pulling you backward? What if your real prison isn't the ice of the past, but the warm, safe, dull cage of the present, where you're afraid to ignite your own greatness? Because if you thought cold was intense, get ready. In part 3, we talk about the fire key, the key that doesn't just warm you, it burns down the life that's too small for you. So, now we move from cold clarity to flame. Because some of you didn't choose the ice key at all. Some of you couldn't look away from the key that pulsed like a living ember. A key that didn't burn your fingers, but promised something even more dangerous. A life without half measures. A life without constant compromise. If you chose the fire key, your soul is tired of running on energy-saving mode. It's tired of dimming your own light to keep other people comfortable. It doesn't want a spark, it wants a blaze. And if you're thinking, oh, this is about motivation, hobbies, getting excited again. No, this is older than motivation. This is the volcanic fire in the core of your being, the part of you that knows you were meant for more than functioning. The fire key appears when the quiet inner contract you made with yourself, I'll stay small, I'll be good, I'll be safe, starts to feel like nausea. When your job, your relationship, your lifestyle, even if it looks fine from the outside, feels like a perfectly tailored suit that is still too tight to breathe in. You've been the good one, the responsible one, the reliable employee, the loyal friend, the obedient child. You learned to bury your real desires under common sense. You became an expert at calling fear maturity. But your inner flame is done with that performance. It doesn't want to warm other people's hands anymore. It wants to burn down your prison. What fire asks you to do? If you chose this key, fate isn't offering you comfort. It's offering you a risk that changes you. Not buy a lottery ticket risk. Real risk. The kind that costs you your stability, so you can finally buy back your soul. This key appears when you're ready to end a relationship that has become a ritual. Leave a job that's slowly suffocating you. Start the bold project you've been rejecting for years because it's not realistic. Stop being background in someone else's story and write your own. It might mean quitting. It might mean moving. It might mean admitting the truth you've been swallowing for years. This life doesn't fit me anymore. And yes, people may be shocked. Let them be shocked. Their shock is not your responsibility. Jung called this inner fire libido, not in the narrow sense, but as raw psychic life energy. And the fire key is exactly that, a return to life. Not polite life, not manageable life, life that moves, life that creates, life that demands a bigger container. And Jung's idea lands hard here. You are not only what happened to you, you are what you choose to become. The fire key is an invitation to stop being a product of your past and circumstances and become the author of what comes next. And every act of creation begins with something being destroyed. The gift of the fire key. The gift is almost unfair. When you align with your real passion, your real calling, you remember what energy feels like. You stop waking up because an alarm forces you. You wake up because something inside you pulls you out of bed, like move, create, build, live. Procrastination gets weaker. Fatigue changes shape. People notice you. They feel you. Your courage becomes contagious. Your authenticity becomes magnetic. You don't just lead. You create. You become a maker of your own universe. The trap of the fire. Key, but fire is not a toy. And this key comes with the most dangerous trap so far. You can burn out, or you can burn everything around you. Unmanaged passion turns into rage. Ambition turns into tyranny. Courage turns into recklessness. And then, one day, you're standing alone in the ashes, not because life betrayed you, but because you lit the match without building a hearth. Here's the difference. A forest fire destroys. A furnace creates steel. Same fire. The difference is structure. So your task is not to extinguish your flame. Your task is to become the one who can hold it. To build a strong inner furnace made of discipline, awareness, boundaries, purpose. Not to mute your power, to aim it. Jung said something like, "The one who looks outward sleeps. The one who looks inward awakens." So if you chose fire, you must look inward and ask, what feeds this flame? What poisons it? What is it really for? Because your true initiation is this, to become the master of your dragon, not its first victim. This key opens the door to a life that takes your breath away. But the price of entry is your willingness to face the most powerful force in your universe, your own will. And now, we've visited cold clarity and burning transformation. But what if the soul doesn't need ice or fire right now? What if it needs something else entirely, something ancient, steady, real? In part 4, we talk about the wood key, the key of roots, belonging, stability, and the hidden strength of your lineage. Now, we come to the key that doesn't shine. It doesn't glitter like ice. It doesn't pulse like fire. It simply feels real. If you chose the wood key, your eyes likely stopped on it because it seemed alive, warm, rough, grounded, as if it carries the scent of earth, moss, and something ancient. And that choice is not random, because your unconscious is signaling a deep need, almost childlike in its honesty, a need for support, stability, belonging. You're tired of being carried by pure willpower. You're tired of feeling like you're floating. Your soul wants to grow roots. And when fate places this key on your doorstep, it's not saying be stronger. It's saying stop trying to do everything alone. What the wood key really means, this key is the symbol of foundation. It appears when someone has spent too long living under the flag of, I can handle it. I don't need anyone. I've got this. And yes, if you chose it, you probably are strong, independent, capable, the kind of person others rely on. But lately, that independence has started to feel heavy, like carrying your life in your arms with no place to set it down. You might look successful from the outside, but inside you feel easily shaken. Any gust of change knocks you off balance, because deep down, it feels like you have nothing to lean on. It's like building a skyscraper on sand. The facade can look impressive, but inside there's a quiet fear of collapse. And here's the painful part. The wood key often appears when you've become a tree without roots. Maybe you ran from your family, its patterns, its problems, its old values. Maybe you moved far away and lost connection. Maybe you lived nearby but became a stranger anyway, behind a wall of resentment and misunderstanding. Different stories, same result. You're disconnected from the place where support should come from. What the wood key asks you to do, if you chose this key, you're being invited to return home. And home has layers. On the simplest level, it can be literal. A trip to your parents, grandparents, or relatives. Not to fight old fights, not to lecture them, but to listen, to ask questions, to learn the story of your family, especially the parts no one likes to talk about. Because you would be shocked how many answers to your present life are hidden in the past of the people who came before you, how they survived, how they loved, how they lost, how they kept going. Each ancestor is a knot in the rope that leads to you. When you ignore them, the rope weakens. On a deeper level, returning home is internal, accepting your inheritance, all of it. The gifts, strength, talent, stubborn will, instincts, abilities you didn't even know were passed down. And the shadows, patterns, fears, generational wounds, skeletons in the closet that keep repeating themselves. Your job is not to romanticize your lineage. Your job is to know it, to stand on solid ground again. Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, a shared storehouse of archetypes and ancestral experience. Your family system is your most personal layer of that. And Jung also said something that cuts straight through loneliness. Loneliness isn't only being alone. It's being unable to talk about what matters. If you chose the wood key, part of your loneliness may come from this. You don't know how to speak your family's emotional language anymore. You speak in modern ideas, achievement, productivity, but your roots are trying to speak in older words. Survival, love, home, continuity, safety, and they're waiting for you to hear them. The gift of the wood key. The gift is profound, a deep, fundamental sense of support, not cheer-up support, the kind of support that makes you feel in your bones, I'm not alone in this life. When you reconnect, externally or internally, you stop being a solitary warrior in an empty field. You feel something behind you, a presence, a silent army of those who came before you. And that does something to your decision-making. You become steadier, more grounded, less reactive. Your life becomes more stable because it's built on a foundation instead of pure effort. It's like realizing you have an inheritance you didn't know existed. Not just money, resources, strength, memory. tools you can use. The trap of the wood key. But this key has a trap too, quiet and dangerous. You can become a prisoner of your family patterns. You can dissolve into the system and lose your individuality. You can start repeating their mistakes, calling it loyalty. You can carry their unresolved burdens, their unfinished wars, their fears, and forget you have your own life. So your task is this: take strength from the roots, but do not become their slave. Use your lineage as a foundation, not as a ceiling. Jung believed the purpose of inner development is becoming the self, not becoming an improved copy of your grandfather or a corrected version of your grandmother. You are not here to repeat. You are here to continue and evolve. This key opens a door to something larger than your individual story. It heals deep loneliness. It softens fear of death. It offers stability in a chaotic world. But it demands wisdom to separate healthy roots from poisonous ones, to take the best and leave with gratitude what no longer serves your growth. And now, we've moved through ice, the past; fire, the will; wood, the roots. But there is one key left, the strangest one, the one you can't weigh, can't touch, can't fully explain. The key made of moonlight. In Part 5, we enter the world of intuition, dreams, symbols, synchronicity, and the danger of escaping reality. And now, we arrive at the key that doesn't belong to the material world. Some of you chose a key you couldn't truly hold, a key that seemed woven out of something like light, weightless, shifting, unfixed, as if it was never fully there, and yet somehow more real than anything else. If you chose the Moonlight key, it means something quietly radical. You are tired of living only by the laws of the measurable world. Your soul misses mystery. It misses wonder. It misses the feeling that life has meaning beyond schedules, responsibilities, and facts. You've been a realist for too long, a pragmatist, a grown-up, and that seriousness has been slowly starving you. So fate hands you a key not to a metal lock, but to a shift in your perception. Because this key doesn't open doors made of iron. It opens doors inside the way you see. It removes the blinders of pure logic, the ones that make the world look flat, predictable, and unbearably dull. You ignored the whisper of the unconscious for years. You called it fantasy. You called it nonsense. You distrusted your dreams. You dismissed your sudden inner "don't go there" or "call that person" impulses. But the unconscious doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It gets louder. And now it has arrived as a moonlight key on your doorstep. What the moonlight key is really about. This key is the symbol of imagination, subtle energy, intuition, synchronicity, dream language, the world of symbols. It appears for people who have forgotten how to dream, for people who locked their intuition in a basement because it felt illogical, for people who trust experts, statistics, science, and proof, but don't trust the quiet voice inside that sometimes knows before you do. If you chose this key, you may live like only half of you is allowed in the room, the logical half. But the other half, the image-making, feeling-knowing, symbol-speaking half, has been waiting. And now it wants its seat back at the table. What the Moonlight key asks you to do. This is where the path becomes strange. Because it's not about doing more. It's about learning to move in the dark without panicking. To trust an inner compass instead of only your eyes. It asks you to begin trusting things you can't touch. dreams, signs, sudden inner clarity, a calm yes or no with no argument attached. And then it asks you to create without needing a reason, not for results, not for money, not for applause, just because your soul needs it. Write, draw, dance when no one is watching. Make something useless to logic but essential to life. And dream again, boldly, childishly, with courage. Visualize what you want without immediately strangling it with, "How would that even happen?" Because this key doesn't open the real world first. It opens the place where reality is born. Jung spent his life studying this place, the inner world of archetypes, symbols, and dreams. He believed that the true levers of fate are hidden in the unconscious, and he warned that your vision becomes clear only when you can look into your own soul. The Moonlight Key is an invitation to look into the soul, not with the flashlight of analysis, but with the lamp of intuition. To stop dissecting life and start feeling it again. This is the path of the mystic, the poet, the visionary. And if you chose it, that path is open. The gift of the Moonlight Key. The gift is almost unbelievable. You become a co-creator of your reality. When you reconnect to intuition, you start making right decisions without knowing why they're right. You begin arriving at the right place at the right time. You meet the right people. Opportunities appear like doors opening on their own. And when your imagination wakes up, you see solutions before the problems fully form. You stop being only a victim of circumstances and become someone who shapes circumstances. This isn't just intuition. It's a deeper knowing that doesn't come from books. It comes from the source inside you, the trap of the Moonlight Key. And now, the most dangerous trap of all. Because if ice freezes you, and fire burns you, and wood entangles you, moonlight can seduce you away from reality. The trap is escaping into dreams, living in signs and meditations while life piles up outside the door. Bills, responsibilities, relationships. There's a risk of becoming not of this world in the worst way. A passive dreamer waiting for a miracle while lying on the couch. So your task is not to abandon the material world. Your task is to become a bridge between heaven and earth, to see the miracle inside, and then bring it into existence with your hands, your choices, your actions. Dream and build, feel and act. Intuition and structure. Moonlight and sunlight. That is the balance. Because even Jung would remind you, no truly happy life is complete without a measure of darkness. Sadness gives happiness meaning. The goal is not to reject reality, pain, effort, or responsibility, but to spiritualize them with your inner light. This key opens the door to a life filled with meaning and wonder, but it demands balance between dream and action, between intuition and logic, between subtle worlds and standing firmly on the ground. The final truth: all four keys are yours, so whichever key was on your doorstep. Ice, fire, wood, moonlight. It is not a curse, not a diagnosis, not a fixed destiny. It's a personal message, a growth point on your map, a mirror. And if you don't like what you see, don't smash the mirror. Maybe stop making faces at it. We've spent this time walking into the hidden rooms of your inner world. If this journey helped you, the best way to support the channel is simple. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, which key did fate leave for you? And what did it awaken inside you? Because maybe the next door we open together.